Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Monday, November 30th, 2015. And here are some of today's trends in the news. Well, the news overseas over there in Asia on the market front was down. And Shanghai was really low. But the national team came into the rescue right at the end of the day and pumped it up just a little bit. Over there in Europe, basically flat. And here in the States, Mr. Dow was down. The other news is gold was up a bit. But the bigger news, that's not news, is iron ore now is selling below $40 a ton. Copper went lower today as well, as did oil. After it was pumped up, now it's back down. So, iron ore, remember, was selling for almost $200 a ton back in 2011. So you can see this is a global recession. Regardless of what anyone is saying, it's supply and demand. So, on to some other economic news. It wasn't such a Black Friday. Again, I'm just using their word. Don't accuse me of being racist. Has nothing to do with that. It means that when people used to go out and shop like morons on Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving to get them bargains, the retailers' books would go into the black. But it came out a little red. That's right. Wasn't such a hot day. Well, online, they're yelling about that, how it's gone up a lot. But Black Friday, just a day, no longer a bellwether. This is from the toilet paper, New York Times. If the lines at Targets and Macy's this Black Friday seem shorter than in years past, shoppers have the internet to thank. More people shopped online over Thanksgiving weekend than in brick-and-mortar stores, according to a closely watched survey by the trade group, the National Retail Federation. Spending at physical stores, however, still dwarfs online spending. So just to put this into perspective. So as they're talking about all the people going online, yes, it's true, and they're going to keep eroding more and more from it. But the big news is that people aren't going out shopping the way they used to. And for the first time in over a decade, the National Federation of Retailers did not release estimates of total spending for the holiday weekend. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe the numbers weren't that good. So there you got it. Black Friday's winners again, e-tailers. Consumers spent an estimated $4.5 billion online Thursday and Friday, which was up 14%, but they expected a much greater hit. And Americans spent an estimated $12.1 billion in traditional stores over the Thanksgiving and Black Friday day. So, the other news, of course, is the yuan. That's right. Central banks, the IMF, they included the yuan as a reserve currency along with the dollar, the euro, and the sterling and the yen. So now they're in the club. But I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference in the short term, maybe over the next 10, 15 years. But they're going to have problems now devaluing that yuan, and now that they're in the club over there. So we'll see what happens. Interesting story here. Big banks cut back on small businesses. The biggest banks in the United States are making far fewer loans to small businesses than they did a decade ago, ceding market share to alternative lenders that charge significantly higher rates. Together, 10 of the largest banks issuing small loans to businesses lent $44.7 billion in 2014, down 38% from its peak in 2006. So here's the deal. Remember them too big to fails? Well, them too big to fails got about 40% bigger. Yeah, and all they're doing is business with their buddies and making the bigs bigger. But hey, something interesting in these holiday sales. Local shops, the reports are coming out around the nation, did a lot better as people are still going for that individual flavor and taste. Again, it's only a small segment when considering the whole. But being that the whole is so big, a small segment makes it happen. It's the same thing with organic foods, with clean foods, with natural healing. A small segment, but a small segment of a society in America, for example, of over 315 million people, you're talking real numbers. Well, the good news is they lowered that terror alert over there in Brussels. Yeah. What?
Bullshit level, DEFCON 5.
Now, if there's a higher DEFCON than 5 on levels of fear, stupidity, ignorance, and hate, let's give it to them folks over there in Brussels. Yeah. What did it accomplish? All these guys. Yeah. Oh. Hey. Hardly made the news. All these Gestapo guys, all this Homeland Security madness, all this bullshit of how they're gonna protect us and why they have to rob us of every one of our rights as they pull these moronic stunts. Just like their war on drugs was a total failure, so too is everything they do in stopping them terrorists and them, quote, bad guys. Can you imagine adults referring to people as bad guys? Well, they're not adults. They're Trump, they're Carson, they're Huckabee, they're Hillary, they're all the assholes in the media. Anyway, hey, buried way down here in the bottom of the paper, on page 22 of the toilet paper of record, fences scaled at White House. Tiny little story. Hey, assholes, all you assholes out there, you can't stop a guy from jumping over the fence. And it doesn't even make the news. Hardly. This is the day after Thanksgiving. Friday, right? Yeah. Hardly anybody reads the paper. And the scum, to show how they don't produce the failures of the military madness that is raping the rights of people from Brussels to the USA to a country near you. They can't stop shit. Because you could say shit now because Trump says shit. Trump could say anything. I saw thousands of people, 9/11, them Arabs, them Muslims cheering in Jersey. Can't show any pictures of it, but he still repeats it. And the prostitutes still let him get away with it. Where's the footage? You said you saw it, and I got a great memory, he keeps saying over and over, and repeating every line 3 times in one sentence. So, there you got it. Losers, losers. Hey, but these guys are winners. Our great allies that all these scum politicians call them the Saudis. Our great Arab allies. Yep. They got 50 people on the list to behead coming real soon. We're going to break that 200 mark and go maybe into 300 before the year ends. Sick. Hey, but not as sick as ISIS. And they had big protests all over the world yesterday on climate risks. These protests are worthless. And in France, they put out shoes everywhere. Yeah, because they're not allowed to protest now. That's right. No freedom, liberty, and fraternity. They pepper sprayed the cats, man. Locked up a whole bunch of them for trying to protest. So they put shoes out everywhere. What is this doing? It's a waste of time. But yet you can't get people to protest for peace. Where are all these people going out? What are you accomplishing? Nothing. These demonstrations are worthless. When it becomes something important, now, no protests for peace. Climate. Yep. France uses sweeping powers to curb climate protests. Yep. Called out 2,100 police, locked up a couple of hundred people. Yep. Stop them bad guys, them terrorists. They rob your rights. They can't stop a guy from jumping over the White House fence. Hey, maybe this one didn't make it big because maybe this guy, like the other guy, didn't get inside the White House and crap in the president's toilet. To show you the French are as stupid as everybody else, and they keep saying how smart they are, attacks stoke French fervor to join fight. That's right. They're even waving flags, which they never do, and flag sales are going way up. And all the young kids that don't know any better are joining in, just like they did after 9/11. The parallels are perfect. A little piece of crap like Hollande and a little piece of scum like Bush, both down in the polls. Hollande, by the way, his ratings are the worst in the Fifth Republic. And Bush, people forget, he was going under 50% before 9/11, and then 92% of the Americans, salute, yep, waved them flags, tied them yellow ribbons, and marched with their commander-in-chief, and elected him a second time. So, hey, but now the French are as stupid as the Americans. So save it. I like your food, your wine, mwah. But you know, I'll tell you what. I spent a lot of time in France, and nothing better than French wine. But the food, yeah, it's great, but yeah. But in Italy, the wine's not always great, but the food, mwah, you never miss. All right. Number of migrants illegally crossing Rio Grande rises sharply. But we're going to get every terrorist. And it's, hey, as long as they're going over the Rio Grande, and maybe they look dark, but they're Mexican dark or Colombian dark or Ecuadorian dark and not Arab dark, it's okay. They can come over. They can't stop shit. Let's get this straight. The only thing that's going to bring peace is peace, not more militarism. And that's all they're talking about. More and more militarism. And to continue with the levels of stupidity, Verizon ads suggest turning off the phone when with the family. Yeah, over the Thanksgiving holiday, they ran these ads. Yeah, here they go. Verizon said its message was that it helps get users where they need to be for the holidays. But after they arrive, they should turn off their phones and spend time with their family and friends. Quote, once we get you to the people that matter the most, it's taking that time to be present with those people once you get there, said Melissa Garlick, who leads Verizon's brand creative team. I hope what people take out of it, quite honestly, is we're America's most reliable network, and we got you where you needed to go. Garlic? How about horse shit? What do you mean you got me where I needed to go? What do you mean Verizon said its message was that it helps get users where they need to be for the holidays? Who made up this crap? Verizon. Hey, garlic should run for office. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.